20 past 9, and the porch light comes on because someone's already standing under it. Two shapes through the fly screen. Your dinner's gone cold on the bench beside your phone, face down where you left it after the third missed call from your sister. The taller one leans in slightly and says it gently, almost apologetically. Evening. We've just come to check you're okay. Not a charge, not an accusation, not a question about anything you've done. The kindest sentence a police officer will ever say to you at your own front door. And in New South Wales, there is no law, no section, no act anywhere that creates a power called a welfare check. There are other powers that sentence might be standing on instead, and only some of them let them inside. One sentence tonight confirms you're fine without opening that door. And there's one knock where that sentence stays in your pocket. The fly screen holds between you like a held breath. Steam comes off the plate you'd only just sat down to. Through the mesh, the second officer's eyes aren't on you at all. They're travelling slowly along the front window. The curtain gap, the hallway light behind your shoulder. Understand what this knock actually cost them. Understand what this knock actually cost them. Because everything hangs off it. Nothing. It cost them nothing. Anyone can walk up your path and knock. The postman, a charity collector, a constable, and a phone call from somebody worried about you is free too. Anyone with your address and a genuine fear or a grudge or a misheard sentence can make one in 30 seconds. So the knock proves nothing. It isn't evidence, it isn't a power, and it certainly isn't a warrant. What isn't free, what the law does not hand him just because he's standing there being kind, is the doorway itself. That threshold is a legal line, and almost everybody surrenders it inside the first minute, for the best reason there is, because refusing feels rude. So what is he actually standing on tonight? 4 things. Miss one, and that door stays shut. Let me show you the ladder before we touch a single section, because it only has 4 rungs, and most people are already on the second one. The concern becomes a conversation, because you answer, and you're a decent person, and you explain. The conversation becomes a step back. You don't decide to do it. Your body just makes room. The step back becomes an entry. And the entry means everything in plain sight is now something lawfully seen. In your hallway, in your kitchen, on your bench. 4 rungs and you climb the first one for free. So here's the promise. By the end of this, you'll have one sentence spoken through a closed door that does 2 jobs, confirms you're safe and withholds your consent. 2 different things. And almost everyone hands over both in the same breath because nobody ever told them they're separable. Quick word first. No invented career on this channel, no credentials claimed, plain English Australian law. In June 2025, the Audit Office of New South Wales found police were engaged in 265,000 welfare callouts, up from 216,000 in 2019 to 20. 50,000 more knocks a year. That's the machine. None of this next bit is optional. And this is where I need you listening hardest. The wrong instinct hurts people. You never physically block that doorway. Not with your body, not with the hand on the frame. Hindering police in New South Wales sits in Section 5(4)(6)(c) of the Crimes Act. 12 months and around $1,100. Read it properly because there's a hinge inside. It only bites when police are acting in the execution of their duty, which means it turns entirely on whether a power actually exists. So the warning comes forward. If they name a section, if there's a genuine emergency, a collapse, a fire, screaming, a specific threat somebody passed on, if someone inside actually needs help, then the sentence goes back in your pocket, you get out of the way, and you argue about it later somewhere with carpet. And say the human part plainly, some of these knocks are the best thing. The powers exist for the houses where nobody answers. This channel teaches the ordinary knock, never the emergency one. And no, There are no magic words, no laminated sign, no printed card. Nothing off the internet makes police disappear. It's just a welfare check, mate. Element one, and it's already working because listen to what that sentence contains: a reason, not a power. He's told you why he came, and he's letting you assume that's the same as what he can do. They are not the same thing. Here's what the phrase might be standing on, and it's 3 doors, not one. Door 1, section 9 of LEPRA, emergency entry. Door 2 is inside that same section, and almost nobody knows it's there. Section 9 also lets police enter for breach of the peace. That's the door that opens when a doorstep gets loud, which is why your tone tonight isn't a manners issue, it's a legal one. Door 3, section 10, which lets police enter to arrest or to detain a person under another act. That last phrase is the doorway to section 22 of the Mental Health Act 2007. Section 22 lets police apprehend someone, but read it closely, and it's a power to apprehend a person in any place. It is not by itself a power to walk into a house. Section 10 carries them over your threshold. Section 22 is what they do once across it. The wrong response is the generous one. Yeah, no worries, come in. I'll show you I'm fine. Your yes supplies every power they were missing. The counter isn't even a refusal. It's 5 words through the mesh. Which section are you relying on? Element 2 is a single word most people never notice, and it's doing all the work. Section 9 doesn't say suspects. The officer must believe on reasonable grounds. Believes is higher than suspects. Suspicion is a possibility. Belief is a conclusion that a person has suffered significant physical injury. Significant is higher than any. A scraped knee isn't significant injury. Imminent means now, not conceivably. And a worried phone call has to climb all 3. Now, section 22, 2 limbs doing different jobs. The first, does the person appear mentally ill or mentally disturbed? That limb is subjective. The officer's own read, formed on your doormat in 4 seconds, needing no diagnosis. Don't fight it, you can't. Second limb is where the grounds live. The officer must believe, on reasonable grounds, that you're committing an offence, or recently attempted to seriously harm yourself, or that it's probable you will, and that the act beats the ordinary law. Now, the honest part, because I'd rather hand you the real bar than a flattering one, probable does not mean more likely than not. A trial judge once held it did. The Court of Appeal said he was wrong and set it lower, some reasonable degree of probability, not a prediction, a shorter wall than it sounds, but still an objective one built from something an officer could describe in a courtroom. And a phone call from a frightened sister isn't made of that. Element 3 is the one that makes tonight's sentence work. Section 9 doesn't just need the danger. It needs entry to be necessary, immediately to prevent it. Necessary. Not helpful, not reassuring, not tidier. And here's the thing about a person who is audibly, unmistakably fine, saying so out loud through their own door: you are the evidence. Every second you sound calm works against the necessity. You're not arguing with the grounds, you're removing them. Now, the honest limit, because this channel names its gaps. A message read out to a call taker that can ground a belief while you're insisting you're fine. Concern outweighs reassurance. He was talking about the system. The insurer heard a man in danger and called police. 2 officers came to his apartment. But here's the trap on the other side. Silence makes it worse. Standing behind the door, saying nothing, builds the very grounds. Because a house that won't answer is a house that might have somebody in it who can't answer. Just answer without opening. Say they come in, lawfully, properly, with a real power behind it. Element 4 is the limit, written into the act, and had him conveyed to Concord Hospital for examination under Section 22, the same section we've just pulled apart. He was released and cannot quietly become one. When the welfare is confirmed, when they've seen you, spoken to you, the power is spent. Entry and search are two different permissions, and yes to the first is not yes to the second. Now, the honest ending. In 2014, the Court of Appeal allowed that appeal, at least in part. Long, expensive, partial. That's the safety net. Long, expensive, partial. That's the safety net from underneath, and exactly why you'd rather not need it. He climbed our ladder himself. If you've watched an American video about this, it mentioned a caretaking power and a case called Caniglia. United States law. No application here. There's no general caretaking entry in this country. Police need a specific section. Sections have elements, and elements can be missing. So here are the words. Through the closed door evenly once. Officer, I'm safe and well, and there's no emergency here. Thank you for checking. His name is Josip Talovic. He'd been fighting over a workers' compensation payment that never arrived. And now the part that matters more than anything else in this video, he let them in. He consented. That was the whole of it. No section named, no power claimed. A decent man in his own home said yes, because refusing feels rude. The court accepted he'd agreed, because a clean win makes a better story than the truth. He won at trial, $85,000. The state appealed and had him conveyed to Concord Hospital for examination under Section 22, the same section we've just pulled apart. He was released. Then he did the thing this channel tells you to do every time. He took it to the venue where these fights are won. And here's the finding that should live in your doorframe forever. He had consented to them coming in. He had never consented to them going through. Entry and search are two different permissions, and yes to the first is not yes to the second. Now, the honest ending, because a clean win makes a better story than the truth. He won at trial, $85,000. The state appealed. In 2014, the Court of Appeal allowed that appeal, at least in part. Long, expensive, partial. That's the safety net. Exactly why you'd rather not need it. He climbed our ladder, and every rung after the first was free, because he gave them the first one himself. If you've watched an American video about this, it mentioned a caretaking power and a case called Caniglia. United States law. No application here. United States law. No application here. And the Australian position is better for you, not worse. There's no general caretaking entry in this country. Police need a specific section. Sections have elements, and elements can be missing. So here are the words. Through the closed door evenly once. Officer, I'm safe and well, and there's no emergency here. Thank you for checking. I don't consent to anyone coming inside. But if you're telling me you have a legal power to enter, I won't get in your way. Again, slower, because the second pass is the one that stays. Officer, I'm safe and well, and there's no emergency here. Thank you for checking. But if you're telling me you have a legal power to enter, I won't get in your way. Say it once tonight at your own front door. Screenshot this. Say it once tonight at your own front door, out loud, so it lives in the door frame and not in a notes app. Now every clause, because none of it is decoration. I'm safe and well, and there's no emergency here. Aimed straight at Section 9 and 22. You're supplying, in your own voice, on their own camera, the fact that dissolves the grounds. Thank you for checking, not manners. Temperature control, and remember door 2. Escalation can manufacture a breach of the peace under Section 9 all by itself. Stay warm. I don't consent to anyone coming inside. Spoken out loud, on a camera running since they came up the path. and the last clause protects you. If you have a legal power, I won't get in your way. You've pre-committed to compliance before anyone's voice rose. Keeps you clear of 546C. Delivery does half the work. Level, warm, unhurried. The latch doesn't lift, and neither does your voice. Now they push. Push one arrives wrapped in concern. We'd just feel better if we could see you properly. 2 minutes? It's harder because it sounds like care. The split, not consenting, is lawful. Hand on the frame, weight against the door, that's the offence. Withhold your agreement, never your cooperation. Then they searched his apartment. They stayed more than half an hour, and they took him into custody under Section 22 and had him conveyed to Concord Hospital for examination under Section 22, the same section we've just pulled apart, and carried Talovic out of here because he is the whole video. Yes to coming in is not yes to going through. Here it is, the promise from the first minute, paid in full. If there's a genuine emergency, entry is lawful with or without your yes. Blocking that doorway turns you from an occupant into an offender in 4 seconds. Comply completely. Say one thing as you step back. Can you tell me which section? Then let them work. And that night, write it down. The time, what was said, how long they stayed. And that night, write it down. The time, what was said, how long they stayed, which rooms they entered, names and station. Sign it and date it, because memory fades and signed notes don't. Their cameras were running from the path to the curb, and a lawyer can get that footage. Complaints go to the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission, IBAC, the CCC, but a complaint addresses misconduct. It doesn't award you a cent. Money Lane is civil, and it's the one Talovic ran. Now the border note and Queensland will catch you. Their welfare power is Section 596 of the Police Powers Act. Entry on suspicion of death or injury. Formed on suspicion instead of belief. The Act's own example is suspicion formed because somebody raised concerns about an elderly neighbour not seen for days. That's tonight's knock. And under Section 609, once a Queensland officer is satisfied a reason exists, that officer may detain and search. Element 4 is NSW only. Victoria runs Section 232 of the Mental Health and Wellbeing Act with an entry provision at 246. Officers must announce themselves, state the basis, and if you don't let them in, they may use reasonable force. A courtesy attached to a power, not a shield. 4 things a lawful welfare entry needs. A real power named. A genuine belief on reasonable grounds. Immediate necessity. And a limit. And she was right to be worried. And that's a conversation worth having with the door still shut. But when the hand isn't asking about you, when it's asking for the phone in your pocket and suggesting you unlock it, that's a different trap. That video's on your screen now. I've gathered into a book called Know Your Rights. Link in the description. Waiting for the knock you weren't expecting. Now, put it together. 4 things a lawful welfare entry needs. A real power named. A genuine belief. On reasonable grounds. Immediate necessity. And a limit. Miss one, and that door is yours. And carry Talovic out of here, because he is the whole video. Yes to coming in is not yes to going through. And the sentence, unchanged. Officer, I'm safe and well, and there's no emergency here. Thank you for checking. I don't consent to anyone coming inside. But if you're telling me you have a legal power to enter, I won't get in your way. Thank you for checking. I don't consent to anyone coming inside. But if you're telling me you have a legal power to enter, I won't get in your way. This is general information, not legal advice. If a knock goes past a conversation, the video ends and a lawyer begins. Legal aid exists. Send this to the person in your family who lives alone. You already know who they are. They're the one this knock finds, with the dinner going cold. And take the ending you just earned. Boots getting quieter down the path. The wagon pulling away from the curb. The porch light still burning.